Hello YouTube, Cordell Radke here with an exciting brand new video for my channel. It's exciting for me and hopefully for you because it is the start to a series on learning to code for people who would rather watch than read. This is where I try to explain code as a recent graduate to the best of my ability in a way that can get people interested in coding and the new technology that is available for us today. And are you tired of watching those videos from 2012? Then you've found the right channel. So I'm going to be showing you all the latest trends in technology and for web design and development. Now this video is actually made as a tutorial so that I can help those of you who are interested in learning more about GitHub and Git Commands. So let's get right into it. For starters, what is GitHub? GitHub is a company that provides a technological home, or I could say hub, thus the name GitHub, for all your code and other development. GitHub lets you update versions of code projects in an organized manner. And the fun fact about GitHub is that it was acquired by Microsoft in 2018 for $7.5 billion. Wow. Okay, so sure, but what is Git exactly? So imagine GitHub as a social media profile to have all your code in one place. Git itself is the actual version control system that allows you to send code over to GitHub using Git Commands. Here's an example of a Git command would be git init, and you would put in your directory for your project. We call it a repository. So you would typically type this command in via the terminal in your source code editor. So how do I get started using Git and GitHub? Excellent question. I will be going over that shortly. And before we begin, I first need you to imagine a tree. Imagine a tree with many branches. I know this kind of sounds off topic right now, but it'll make sense later on. And also imagine trees with little branches. So GitHub has these things called branches. It's a way to test and version code, and it's easy for developers to work in teams from across the globe. GitHub allows teams to make edits and requests so that you will never accidentally lose everything you have just developed. Imagine it as the cloud for code. It literally keeps track of every iteration that is made. It's wonderful. I love using it. It's the safest way to code to date. So to test and version code, developers really needed an easy way to work with a team from across the globe. So they needed a way to safely have many members work on the same coding project. Now with branches, if you imagine branches on a tree, they all have the same roots. But branches allow the developers to have all the same code and edit as they see fit, but they will always be on a separate branch so that the main code that will finally be put online for everyone to see will always be safe on its own root branch in case someone does make a mistake in the code on a separate branch. Now GitHub allows teams to make edits and pull requests so that you will never accidentally lose everything you have just developed. And the boss man can check over the code and then he'll approve of that pull request so you can take it into the master branch or the root of the tree. And again, GitHub by far is the most popular and safest way to test and version your code to date. Like I said, it is the cloud for code. Now I'm going to exit out of this presentation real quick and look over to GitHub. Before we do that, I'll show you what some Git commands may look like. Typically you would go into terminal and say git init. You would add a file name, you would commit a message. And now on to GitHub. This is a typical GitHub profile. Like I said, it's almost like a social media profile for coding and web developers. And just for an example, I'm going to see what it would be like for starting a new repository. So you'd click new, you would enter your repository name, and you would enter a description. Typically, you would want the descriptions to be somewhat impactful for whatever it is you're developing for your website. For now, I'll just put official website. And of course, you're going to make it public. I can also make mine private if I wanted to. Now, you can skip this step if you're importing an existing repository. So GitHub gives you the options to start creating your repository right off the bat. So you can initialize it with a README file, and you have to remember that the README file is very important because it shows everyone what your code is all about, how you access it, how you edit it. So your README is typically very important. important. So then you would create the repository, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to show you an example of what my website would be like. And this is the main hub for your code for your project. And like I said, the README file would have a pretty lengthy description on how to run your app for people who are also working on your website. And now in GitHub, we have these things called commits, where we commit a message for all the changes that we're currently making in our code editor. And then there's branches. I already talked to you about that. So for instance, I have GH Pages branch. The reason why it's called GH Pages is because I'm hosting my website on GitHub. You don't necessarily have to host your website on GitHub, but it is an option. So many people will host their website on whatever dream host, and typically you can push everything you do in Dreamhost to GitHub, which is nice. So I'm going to pull up some of my code real quick and give you an example of how I would push a commit to GitHub. So right now I would run an npm start for my website. And it's going to run and it's going to open up my website. And now that my website is pulled up, you can see that it is running smoothly. I can go to my projects I've created in the past. I'm trying to build my portfolio right now, and hopefully these videos will be beneficial to your learning too if you are a recent graduate. And now I'm going to make a change to this so you can kind of get the idea of how GitHub works. So I'm going to move this to the side here. And I'm going to open up a new terminal window, and then I'm going to do git add. Now before I do this, I obviously haven't changed anything, right? So if I did, I would do, let's say I want to add another language to the title of my home page. So I'd put PHP, and I would save that. Now what I'm going to do is git add. And then I'm also going to make a git commit. This is when you enter your message of what you want to commit. So I will say added new text to title. And you'll notice that it was successful. One file changed, one insertion. And now what I want to do is git push to origin master. This is going to push to the origin master branch. So you could, and typically what most people will do is they'll push it to the developer branch. You'll typically have lots and lots of branches for different features of your website. In my case, my website is super simple. I have 2 branches. I have my master branch and I have my GH Pages branch. Typically you would want a dev branch always. So I'm going to push to origin master. It's going to take some time here. So it is successfully pushed to my GitHub page. And in my case, I am using React npm. So what I want to do is do an npm run deploy so it will show up on my site. And throughout this video, like, I'm not a coding wizard. I'm still learning a lot. So if there's anything in this video that you think is not correct, I really encourage you to leave a comment. I'm really open to people's criticism and making sure I'm saying the right things, because I really want to help people get interested into coding and using GitHub. So as you can see, it has published. So now if I go over to my website, or I go over to my GitHub page, and I'll refresh the page, you'll notice that my it's fetching my latest commit, and as you can see, added new title to text. And look at this, boom, it shows me what I changed in my code. I can leave a comment and review it. And remember, this is why GitHub works really well in teams, because people can see everything that's being changed in the code. So now if I go over to my settings, your site is published. I always want to put in my domain, make sure that it's saved properly. And I'm going to go over to my website, and boom, now I have PHP. And that was the one edit I made. So there you have it. That is how you use GitHub. I know this isn't the most really like detailed video ever, but I just wanted to make it super simple in terms of just learning what GitHub is, how you use it, and why it's really important to use for today's technological standards. And again, you can look up Git Commands everywhere online. There's cheat sheets you can look at. And I really hope you got something out of this video. And I'll catch you guys next time. And hopefully my videos will be coming out every, couple weeks, or hopefully one day I would like to release a video every week. But again, I'm busy looking for different jobs and building my portfolio right now, so I'm not really making as much videos as I would want to be, but hopefully in the future that's something I could look forward to. Thank you guys very much for watching.